Welcome back, everyone, to another deep dive. Today we're tackling the meaning of true giving. We've got a really powerful anecdote from an Indian social worker to guide our conversation, so get ready for some heartwarming wisdom. And who knows, maybe a little self-reflection along the way.
I love that. Heartwarming wisdom. I like the sound of that already.
Yeah, I think it'll resonate with a lot of people.
For sure. So, to kick things off, this story starts with our social worker delivering a lecture at a successful company on, you guessed it, corporate social responsibility.
Okay.
And well, after the talk, the employees, they're feeling moved, they're inspired, and they offer to donate clothes, toys, even some household items to help those in need after a recent earthquake.
Oh, wow, that sounds amazing, like a real coming together moment.
Right. On the surface, it seems like a pretty huge act of generosity.
Yeah. I'm sensing a but coming, though, knowing our deep dives.
You know me too well. There's always a twist, right? Well, the twist is that when our social worker actually receives these donations, she finds that most of the items are, how to put this delicately, unusable. I'm
Well,
talking torn clothes, broken toys, just things these employees clearly wanted to get rid of anyway.
ouch. That's kind of rough.
Yeah,
It's like it really exposes this gap between the intention of giving and the reality of what was actually given.
absolutely.
It's almost like it's the thought that counts, but not quite.
Yeah,
But you know what? I have to admit, I've probably done something similar myself at some point,
yeah,
out with the old and with the new.
yeah.
It makes you wonder how often we think we're being generous, but we're really just cleaning out our closets.
It's a really good question. And it's something this story really makes us confront. This whole experience reminded the social worker of a really powerful lesson she learned from her grandparents as a child. They had two granaries for storing rice on their farm,
Okay.
one for high quality white rice and one for lower quality red rice.
Two granaries, two types of rice. I'm intrigued. So if people came to them in need, which rice do you think they gave away?
That's exactly the question our social worker asked herself as a kid.
Oh, really?
She was accustomed to eating the red rice at home and was totally confused when she saw her grandparents consistently giving away the white rice, the better rice, to those who came asking for help.
That's really interesting. It makes sense that a child would be a little confused by that. What did her grandparents say when she asked them about it?
Well, the grandmother's response is really at the heart of this whole story. She said, and I'm quoting here, "Child, whenever you want to give something to somebody, give the best in you, never the second best. God is not there in the temple, mosque, or church. He is with the people. If you serve them with whatever you have served God."
Wow. Those are powerful words. Give the best in you, not the second best. I think that's something we can all take a moment to really reflect on.
For sure. And the grandfather actually added another layer to this, drawing wisdom from the Vedas, the ancient Hindu scriptures. He emphasized that donations should be made with kind words, happiness, and sincerity, giving to those who are truly needy, without any expectation of anything in return, and with the consent of your partner. Oh, and he also pointed out the importance of giving without making others dependent, and without any regard for their caste, creed, or religion.
So these weren't just casual lessons. This was like a deeply held philosophy of giving rooted in their spiritual beliefs.
Exactly. And you can see how these simple but profound lessons, learned at such a young age, really stayed with the social worker throughout her entire life.
For sure. It's amazing, isn't it, how those small moments from childhood can really shape our values in such a significant way. I'm sure you've had similar experiences.
Absolutely. I mean, who hasn't? It's fascinating, isn't it, how those early lessons form the foundation for how we approach the world. And in this case, it really shaped how the social worker viewed giving and helping others.
Right. Yeah, you can really see how that contrast between her grandparents' genuine generosity and the thoughtlessness even of those corporate donations would have been even more jarring.
Absolutely. It really shines a light on the difference between, going through the motions of giving and truly embodying that spirit of generosity.
Right.
It's not just about the act of giving, but the thought, the intention behind it.
Yeah, the why.
Exactly.
Yeah, it really makes you think about what motivates us to give. Like, is it truly about helping others, or are we just trying to clear out clutter and maybe feel good about ourselves in the process?
I think you've hit on a really crucial point there. The social worker's experience, it really highlights a common pitfall, right?
Hmm.
We often focus so much on the act of giving itself without truly examining our intentions. And like you said, sometimes it's more about what we're getting rid of than what we're actually giving.
It's true. That's definitely food for thought. But wouldn't you agree that, I don't know, any donation is better than none? At least those unwanted clothes and toys are going somewhere where they might actually be useful, even if the intention wasn't, entirely pure.
That's a perspective a lot of people share, and it's certainly a valid point. However, I think the wisdom shared by the social workers' grandparents, it really challenges us to think a bit deeper. Remember the grandmother's words, give the best in you, never the second best. And this idea, it extends beyond just material possessions, right? It's about the quality and sincerity of our giving, whatever form that takes.
So how do we apply that give the best in you idea to something like donating used goods? I mean, it's not always easy to know what's truly best, is it?
Well, think back to the white rice and the red rice. Giving your best in this context, I think it could mean taking the time to really sort through your belongings and select items that are genuinely useful and in good condition. Instead of just, dumping everything in a bag, consider what someone else might actually need and appreciate.
Right. So it's about being thoughtful and putting in a little extra effort to make sure our donations are actually going to be helpful, not just a burden. It's about having empathy, understanding the needs of the recipient instead of just focusing on our own need to declutter. Right.
Precisely. And this concept, it goes way beyond charitable donations, right? The red rice granary wisdom can be applied to all aspects of our lives, our work, our relationships, even how we spend our time.
I'm really curious to hear more about that. So beyond, traditional giving, how else can we embrace this philosophy of giving our best?
Well, let's consider work, for example. Are you just going through the motions? Are you just meeting the bare minimum requirements? Or are you consistently striving to produce high quality work, to make really meaningful contributions? Are you bringing that white rice energy to your job, so to speak?
I see what you mean. So it's about applying that same level of intentionality and thoughtfulness to everything we do, right?
Yeah.
Instead of just going through the motions, we should be asking ourselves, how can I bring my best to this situation?
You got it. It's about striving for excellence, whatever that looks like in a given context. And it's not about perfection or overworking ourselves, but it's about being present, being mindful, and aligning our actions with our values.
I like that. Being intentional, making choices that reflect our desire to have a positive impact, whether it's how we approach our work, our relationships, or even just simple everyday interactions.
Now you're getting it. Think about your relationships with your friends and family. Are you truly present when you're with them, offering your full attention, your genuine support? Or are you kind of distracted, half listening, offering the second best of your time and energy?
Oh, that's a great point. It's so easy to get caught up in our own busy lives and not fully show up for the people we care about the most. But I guess if we really want to build those strong, meaningful relationships, we need to be intentional about giving our best to those connections as well.
It all comes back to that core message from the social worker's grandmother, right? Give the best in you, never the second best. It's a simple message, but it has some really profound implications for how we navigate the world and how we interact with others.
Absolutely. And I love how it comes from such a humble source. It wasn't some fancy self-help guru or anything. It was just a grandmother sharing wisdom from her own life experience. It's a reminder that we can find profound lessons in the most unexpected places.
I think that's a really powerful reminder that we don't need elaborate strategies or complicated techniques to live a truly meaningful life. Sometimes the simplest lessons are the most profound, and oftentimes those lessons are passed down through generations, carried in the stories and experiences of those who came before us.
It's so true. Sometimes those simple, down-to-earth lessons, those are the ones that really stick with us. It reminds me of that saying, the best things in life are free. And, in this case, the most valuable lesson, it didn't come from some book or a lecture. It came from a grandmother's words,
Yeah.
her actions. It really makes you think about where we find wisdom and how those little nuggets of insight can shape our entire lives.
Yeah, you've hit on a key takeaway here. The story of the red rice granary, it isn't just about giving material possessions. It's about cultivating a mindset, a way of being in the world that prioritizes, I don't know, genuineness, intentionality, a commitment to bringing our best to every situation.
It's almost like a challenge, isn't it, to constantly ask ourselves, am I giving my white rice right now? Am I being present, engaged, truly giving my best effort?
It is a challenge, and it's a lifelong practice. None of us are perfect, and there will be times when we fall short. But I think the key is to keep that intention at the forefront of our minds, to be aware of those moments when we're tempted to give our red rice and to make a conscious effort to choose differently.
And maybe that's where the real growth happens, right? In those moments when we catch ourselves falling back on old habits and we we make that conscious choice to step up and give our best.
Exactly. It's about recognizing those patterns and making different choices. And remember, it's not about beating ourselves up when we make mistakes. It's about acknowledging those moments, learning from them, and striving to do better next time.
This deep dive has really given me a lot to think about. It's so easy to get caught up in the hustle of daily life and forget about the importance of genuine giving. But like we talked about today, it's not just about grand gestures or donating huge sums of money. It's about bringing that white rice energy to everything we do, our work, our relationships, even those small everyday interactions.
You've captured the essence of it. As you go about your day, consider how you can apply the wisdom of the red rice granary to your own life. Perhaps it's in the way you treat a stranger, the effort you put into a project, or the patience you extend to a loved one. The answer will be different for everyone, but the journey of discovering it, that can be truly enriching.
That's a beautiful thought to end on. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive, everyone. Until next time, remember the red rice granary and strive to bring your white rice to the world. Keep diving deep.